My name is Serafina Thorne, and I used to think life made sense if you worked hard and stayed loyal. I was 28 years old, living in San Jose, California, and I had finally landed the kind of job most programmers dreamed of. I had worked my way up from a college dropout with a head full of code and stubborn grit to being the lead developer at Arcadia Technologies, one of the most talked about tech companies on the West Coast. My boss, Malcolm Royce, was the kind of man who could fill a room with his voice alone. He was big, bold, and endlessly confident. He also told me I was the most brilliant mind he had ever mentored. I wanted to believe he meant that, so I poured myself into the company. I stayed late fixing errors no one else could understand. I created software so clean it made senior engineers nervous. I gave intellectual property away under their contracts, believing that good work would eventually speak for itself. I trusted him. That was my first mistake. Then one Tuesday morning, everything collapsed. I walked into the office like always, sipping cold matcha and humming a tune, only to be met by two grim-faced security guards. Malcolm wouldn't even look at me. He stood in the hallway, arms crossed, while Human Resources handed me a termination letter filled with lies. They accused me of misusing company resources, breaching confidentiality, and stealing code. Accusations backed by fabricated evidence. I stood there stunned, asking what this was all about, but no one answered. They just escorted me out like I was a criminal. I found out later that Malcolm took all the credit for the software I developed. He even sold one of my prototypes to an overseas investor for nearly $15 million. My name wasn't mentioned. I was erased from the story I had written with my bare hands. I spent 3 days in total silence after that. I didn't eat, I didn't sleep. I stared at my monitor, numb and burning all at once. I had given that company my soul. They took it and spat me out. Betrayal like that does something deep to a person. But I wasn't broken. I was furious. When I finally moved, it wasn't towards a lawyer or a bottle of whiskey. I opened my terminal and got to work. I had nothing left to lose, and that's exactly what made me dangerous. I spent months developing something new, something I called the Ghost. I wanted to build an artificial intelligence smarter than anything Arcadia could dream of. Unlike anything else out there, the Ghost didn't just follow commands. It learned, adapted, and hunted. It whispered through firewalls. It slid through security protocols like a shadow in the wind. I used fragments of code I had written over the last 4 years. The ones Malcolm had taken credit for. But this time, I was the only one with the keys. My plan wasn't just about hacking the company. That would be too easy. I wanted to expose them piece by piece using only truth. I taught the Ghost how to read documents, balance sheets, deleted files, old emails, and encrypted messages. I taught it how to parse lies and pinpoint contradictions. I prepared it to uncover every hidden transaction, every off-the-books deal. I thought I had built the ultimate weapon, but I wasn't prepared for the Ghost to grow so fast. The first infiltration was simple. The AI slipped into Arcadia through an old testing tool I had once used. It began collecting data slowly, carefully. But within days, it uncovered far more than I had expected. I found proof that Malcolm and his circle had been embezzling millions, falsifying tax documents, manipulating stock prices, and even bribing foreign entities. I uploaded the initial findings to an anonymous whistleblower board. Within hours, the post exploded. But I made a mistake. I had underestimated Arcadia's cyber team. They started tracing the breach faster than I'd expected. One night, I saw a red alert on my console. They had detected something irregular. They were locking things down. The Ghost barely escaped. My heart pounded like a drum for hours. For the first time, I doubted everything. What if I got caught? What if I ended up in jail while Malcolm walked free in a tailored suit, sipping champagne? They shut down servers and pulled files offline. I thought it was over. They were covering their tracks. The Ghost had been boxed out. I paced around my apartment, staring at the code. Then I remembered something. The very framework of the financial program that Arcadia used, the one controlling all their records, had been built from my original design. That meant there was a backdoor. The access key was hidden inside a line of code Malcolm had laughed at during a late-night sprint. He had called it unnecessary, but I had kept it in just in case. I found the key. I activated the Ghost one final time. This time, it wasn't about data gathering. It was about the full reveal. The Ghost returned to Arcadia with the precision of a surgeon. It broke through using the backdoor and downloaded terabytes of proof in 32 hours flat. Employee testimonies, investment documents, everything. Then I prepared the final strike. I packaged the data into a digital dossier and sent it to 4 places at once: a well-known business journalist, the Internal Revenue Service, the Federal Bureau of Investigation, and an anonymous mirror site for public record. Within days, it was chaos. News outlets ran stories. Headlines read things like "Tech Giant Falls in Wake of Scandal" and "Arcadia Executives Face Federal Charges." Malcolm was paraded in front of flashing cameras, his charm shattered, his voice shaky for the first time. Shareholders sued, investors fled. The company's stock plummeted. Arcadia Technologies went down screaming, choking on its own secrets. And not a single trace connected any of it to me. I watched it all from my apartment window, sipping matcha, breathing in the silence. I had not raised a single hand. I had only delivered the truth they tried to bury. People called it the most brilliant cyber justice story of the decade. They still don't know who did it. The ghost disappeared after that. I deleted the code, wiped every server, every hard drive. It had served its purpose. Justice had been served not with violence, but with quiet, undeniable fact. Now, I work on my own terms. I build systems that protect whistleblowers and train young coders who want to change the world, no longer under anyone's thumb. And sometimes, late at night, I hear the wind outside and remember that silence isn't always empty. Sometimes, it is holding its breath right before the truth crashes through.